America had F-4 Phantoms, precision bombers, total air superiority. North Vietnam had MiG-17 seconds, subsonic, cannon-armed, outnumbered 1-0-1. Yet U.S. forces lost over 5,000 aircraft. This is every American jet deployed, and why rules of engagement mattered more than technology. Shenyang J-5, Mikoyan-Gurevich MiG-17. The MiG-17 formed the backbone of Vietnam's early air defense effort, entering service as a rugged, maneuverable fighter optimized for close-range combat. Though simple by contemporary standards, it was reliable, easy to maintain, and well-suited to pilots trained for precision rather than electronics. In combat, the MiG-17 was used to ambush American strike formations, exploiting terrain masking and strict ground control to enter fights on favorable terms. Its ability to turn tightly at low and medium speeds made it dangerous against faster opponents that relied on speed and missiles. The aircraft mattered because it forced American pilots to relearn visual dogfighting and to respect engagement envelopes where speed alone offered no safety. It demonstrated that control of the air was not guaranteed by technology, but by how that technology was employed. Mikoyan-Gurevich MiG-21. The MiG-21 introduced supersonic interception to Vietnam's air defense network, providing speed, climb, and missile capability that changed the character of engagements. Compact and austere, it was designed to strike quickly and disengage before prolonged combat developed. Vietnamese pilots used the MiG-21 selectively, launching short, high-speed attacks guided by ground controllers and radar cues. These intercepts targeted bombers and escorts, often firing missiles before breaking contact rather than pursuing dogfights. Its importance lay in forcing American air planners to defend against sudden, high-speed threats while operating over hostile airspace. The MiG-21's disciplined employment made it a strategic tool rather than a tactical gamble, shaping mission planning far beyond its numbers. Shenyang J-6, Mikoyan-Gurevich MiG-19. The MiG-19 occupied a narrow but significant role as Vietnam's first operational supersonic fighter with strong cannon armament. Faster than the MiG-17 and more heavily armed, it promised a bridge between turning fighters and missile interceptors. In practice, the aircraft's limited range and demanding maintenance constrained its impact. It was flown in air defense missions and interceptions, but never achieved the operational prominence of other fighters. Its presence still mattered because it reflected Vietnam's effort to diversify capabilities and adapt to evolving threats. Even when an aircraft did not dominate the air war, it influenced training, logistics, and the overall defensive posture. Ilyushin Il-28. The Il-28 was Vietnam's only jet bomber, acquired to provide a theoretical offensive strike capability. Large, fast, and designed for conventional bombing, it represented a very different approach from the fighter-centric defense strategy. Operational use was extremely limited, with the aircraft primarily held in reserve and rarely committed to combat missions against American forces. The risks of loss and the dominance of American air superiority made sustained bomber operations impractical. Its significance lies less in what it did than in what it represented, the boundary of Vietnam's ambitions in the air. The Il-28 showed that some capabilities existed on paper, but were wisely restrained by strategic reality. Antonov An-2. The An-2 was a slow, fabric-covered biplane originally designed for transport and agricultural roles. In Vietnam, it found a niche in unconventional warfare, exploiting its low speed, short takeoff capability, and ability to fly beneath radar coverage. The aircraft was used in limited offensive actions, including nighttime harassment and supply missions against isolated targets. Its very primitiveness made it difficult to detect and intercept with high-performance jets. The An-2 mattered because it highlighted how unconventional platforms could survive in a high-technology conflict. It forced American forces to confront threats that did not fit standard detection and engagement models. Mi-4. The Mi-4 helicopter provided Vietnam with air mobility for transport, logistics, and limited combat support. While not primarily an attack platform, It enabled rapid movement of personnel and supplies in areas where roads were vulnerable. These helicopters operated under constant threat, often flying low and using terrain for concealment. Their missions supported air defense units, radar sites, and ground forces essential to sustaining resistance. The Mi-4's role mattered because it extended the air war beyond fighters and interceptors. It demonstrated that sustaining an air defense system required mobility and logistical depth, not just combat aircraft. Mi-8. Later in the conflict, the Mi-8 expanded Vietnam's rotary wing capabilities with greater payload, range, and reliability. This helicopter supported troop movement, resupply, and command functions critical to integrated defense. Although rarely used in direct combat against American aircraft, its contribution lay in sustaining the infrastructure that allowed fighters and radar networks to function. Air power depends on what happens between missions as much as during them. The Mi-8 mattered because it reinforced the idea that aircraft effectiveness is cumulative. Even platforms that never fired a weapon played a role in shaping the air battle's endurance. Mikoyan-Gurevich MiG-17 The MiG-17 was a radar-equipped interceptor variant introduced to improve Vietnam's ability to engage American aircraft in poor visibility and at night. Unlike earlier gun-only fighters, it carried onboard radar to assist in controlled interceptions. In Vietnamese service, the aircraft was used primarily for defensive missions near key infrastructure and airspace corridors. Its radar was limited, but when combined with ground guidance, it allowed interceptions under conditions that previously favored American forces. The MiG-17 mattered because it marked Vietnam's transition toward integrated air defense aviation. It demonstrated how even modest airborne sensors could extend fighter relevance against a technologically superior opponent. Mikoyan-Gurevich MiG-21 PFM. The MiG-21 PF and later PFM variants represented a shift toward missile-centric air combat. These versions emphasized interception speed and missile employment over close-range maneuvering. Vietnamese pilots used these aircraft in tightly controlled hit-and-run attacks, often launching missiles from favorable angles before disengaging. Cannon armament was limited or absent, reinforcing a doctrine centered on short engagements. These variants mattered because they forced American forces to adapt to missile threats rather than traditional dogfights. They influenced escort tactics, formation spacing, and engagement rules throughout the air war. Aero Il-29. Delfín. The Il-29 Delfín was originally designed as a jet trainer, but Vietnam employed it in limited combat and patrol roles. Its simplicity, reliability, and low operating demands made it adaptable despite its non-combat origins. In service, the aircraft was used for light attack, coastal patrol, and training-related operational tasks rather than air-to-air combat. Its presence freed frontline fighters from secondary duties. The Il-29 mattered because it illustrated how Vietnam maximized available aircraft regardless of original intent. Even trainers contributed to sustaining the air war by supporting operational readiness and defensive depth. Taken together, Vietnam's aircraft did not aim to win the air war through dominance, but to prevent its loss through endurance. Each platform, from biplane to supersonic interceptor, served a purpose defined by context rather than capability alone. The conflict showed that air power is shaped by geography, doctrine, and discipline as much as by speed or firepower. In dense terrain and politically constrained skies, restraint became a weapon. Vietnam's aircraft reshaped expectations of modern air warfare by proving that limited means, carefully applied, could challenge overwhelming force. The lesson was not about winning the sky, but about refusing to surrender it. The air war over Vietnam remains a case study in how aircraft matter, not individually, but as part of a strategy designed to outlast, outthink, and endure.